Okay, hello everyone, good evening. Just let me know if I am audible clearly.
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. So today we are going to start a topic which is generative AI. So most of us have heard about generative AI. Some of us may have used it also, right? So we are going to understand about generative artificial intelligence, a cause for worry or like opportunities. So we are going to understand like what are the worries that are associated with generative AI and like what can be the opportunities that are associated with this. Okay, so related to generative AI, we have already uploaded the editorial discussion, this topic booklet into the students portal. So online people whosoever are attending, they can download the PDF from the students portal, and also it might have been uploaded on the description of the YouTube video. All right, so the booklet has been given to all the students. Offline students have already received, and online students, like for them it has been uploaded. Now, so let's talk about what is generative artificial intelligence. So generative artificial intelligence is a class of artificial intelligence. So it is a subgroup of artificial intelligence. All right, so good evening everyone who has joined. So generative artificial intelligence is a subclass or subdivision, okay, is a part of artificial intelligence. And if we talk about what is artificial intelligence, right, so we are going to discuss about so many things related to it. Okay, so first of all, let us understand what is artificial intelligence. What is artificial intelligence? Okay, so artificial intelligence is a kind of branch of study of computer science, right? So we study artificial intelligence, and as part of artificial intelligence, what, like, how do we differentiate artificial intelligence from normal, let's say, computer programs or normal things that happen on a day-to-day life? This artificial intelligence has the capacity, right? It has the capacity of mimicking the human brain. Okay, it has the capacity of mimicking, okay, the human brain, in the sense that like it is able to generate ideas, it is able to generate thought in a manner that human beings done, okay, human beings do. So artificial intelligence is itself, let's say, like, comparable to human intellect, means in the sense human beings are let's say natural persons. So like, we do have by default, like, let's say, some amount of intellect. So the computer scientist or the scientists have been trying, right, to develop machines. Those machines, like, they are developing these machines so that these machines can automate some of the decisions that we take, right? Some of the decisions, like, there are multiple objectives of creating artificial intelligence systems. For example, let's say, like, if you want to write a code for a specific application, right? So if we have an artificial intelligence system, if we give a command that write a code that can do the square root or let's say cube root of a number, right? So if it is able to write that code, so it is going to, let's say, safeguard, right? It is going to save the timing of a human being. So this is a simple example of usage of artificial intelligence. We can have very complex tasks also that can be done by artificial intelligence. And like, it has the potential of doing these things in a very beautiful manner, in the sense that, like, whatever, let's say, command we give, means like, basically, like, if I talk about this generative AI, it has become very popular since we have seen the chat GPT, right? And before this also we had different other forms of generative AI as well. This chat GPT, I mean, like, it has like the capability of giving answers in a manner that a human being generally gives. For example, if you ask a question to a learned human being, so he is going to give his answer in a structured manner with logical, let's say, like, inputs. Similarly, this generative AI or the chat GPT system, which gives, let's say, answers in a natural language format, right? It gives answers in a natural language format. So that is similar to what a human being might give, a learned human being might give. Okay, so it is not giving very out of the box answers, means like, it is giving answers that can be comprehended by people like us, and at the same time it is giving logical points, right? So this is let's say, this is the context for which, like, we have taken this particular topic for discussion today. Now let us understand, like, what is the need of having an artificial intelligence system like this, and how can we compare it with historical, let's say, developments that have revolutionized the way that we do things today, right? So I will take you to history for this. Like many of us may have heard about this particular thing. What? Gutenberg printing press. Have we heard about this thing, Gutenberg printing press? Okay. So basically the thing is, like, long back, if we go to, let's say, 1448, right? 1448 AD. AD in the sense 1448. If we go back 500 years from now, 500 to 600 years from now, so that time, I mean, like, no printing press was there. No printing press was there. Since no printing press was there, let's say, like, all the learned people, the people from church, how they used to, let's say, like, transfer their knowledge to the common man, to the normal people, right? So they used to have interaction, right? They used to have interaction with the people, right? And they used to, let's say, preach the holy book of Bible and other things to people, right? So that was the method of transmitting information, or, like, sharing the knowledge, right, with the disciples or with the people. So that was the idea. I mean, like, so that's how the knowledge has been imparted from ages. Let's say, like, knowledge has been imparted in a manner by telling stories, by sharing experiences and all, right? So that has been the thing. But this there was a person, his name is Johannes Gutenberg. What he has done, like, he has developed a kind of technology innovation where he has added up various parts, right, various different kinds of innovations together, so that he could come up with a printing press. Okay, printing press for the first time in a world. Let's assume that we are in a world where we do not have any printing machines, we do not have any photocopy thing, right? So at that point of time, the knowledge that used to be transmitted, it was through oral means, right? So this person, Johannes Gutenberg, for the first time came up with this idea of developing a printing press so that he can print the holy book of Bible, let's say, he could print. So what he has done, like, he has initially printed Bible. What he has done, he has printed Bible. So since he has printed Bible and he has printed various copies of Bible, so these copies could be transferred. What it could be done? These copies could be transferred to people who are staying, far away, right? And they can get the knowledge by reading the Bible. What? They can get the knowledge by reading the Bible, right? The printed Bible. So that has happened for the first time. So it was a revolutionary idea. It was, let's say, an idea that has revolutionized the way how knowledge was transmitted, right? So he was the first person who has done so. It has, let's say, helped millions of people, let's say, later on. Now we are beneficiaries of this, beneficiaries of the invention that was done way back in 1448 by that people. Means after then the printing thing has started, right? In India also, like, there was a vernacular press act. So I'll talk about that thing also. So since this printing thing, I mean, like, has started, like, many people who could get the printed copy of the Bible, they were very happy. They were happy in the sense that they can themselves read in their free time to learn from the Bible. So that was, let's say, like, it has made many people happy. And at the same time, there were many people, like, who were unhappy about the, let's say, this innovation. Who were unhappy? The people, like, say, the bishops, like in the church, the father, who used to impart knowledge, because they started feeling that knowledge, I mean, like, we are the people who transmit the knowledge to people, right? And if books are printed and if it is sold, so nobody is going to come to us to, let's say, like, learn about what we have to say about the Bible, learn about the knowledge that we possess, okay? So there were resistance also at that point of time, right? So naturally, there were some people who accepted the invention that was done, and at the same time, there were people who did not accept the invention that was done. But, like, those criticism, like the church, I mean, like, they used to be powerful people also. So they were criticizing about its invention, right, at that point of time. But, like, down the line, after 500 or 525 years, right, after 500 years, we see, like, what is the benefit of having printing press. We have the photocopy shops, we have books that are printed, and using those books we have learned from our school days till now, right? So that invention was a historical movement. Similarly, if I talk about the chat GPT, if I talk about generative AI, So this is again a historical moment that is similar to the invention that was done through Gutenberg's printing press, because now this has revolutionized the way that we get knowledge. This has revolutionized the way we do our task on a regular basis. For example, right, for example, let's say now if you want to write an article, or anything, right, you just give a short command or write a question to ChatGPT, it's going to give you answer to that, right? If you want to, let's say, make an image of some idea, you might be having an idea and you want to design a graphic, right? So you can design a graphic by giving just input like text input, or you can just say it is going to do. If you know one particular language, right, you have text in that particular language and you want that these texts should be converted in some other language that my friend understands. For example, I understand Punjabi, I understand Hindi, I understand English. My friend understands Punjabi, he does not understand English. We do have a text which is in English. I want this text to be converted into Punjabi so that that person can also understand. And if we have a system, right, where we can give input in English and it can translate into some other language, so is it going to be beneficial for that person? Yes, it is going to be beneficial for that person, because it is going to, let's say, like, reduce the effort. Means like, logically we need a person who could, let's say, translate the language, and it's going to take huge amount of effort and time from that person. And if it is being done by a computer system like artificial intelligence, so that's going to bring changes in the way how we do the things. So this, if I talk about this generative AI, okay, if I talk about this generative artificial intelligence, what it does, what it can do, right? So it does so many things. First of all, it generates content for us. It generates content. Content means, for example, if you have a question on something, right, you can ask a question to generative AI, so it's going to give you, let's say, answer with structured information, right? So it generates content. And also you can design graphics, right? What you can do, you can design graphics using this, right? You can design graphics. Apart from this, you can make it to write stories for you. You can make it write stories for you. It can also write computer programs. What it can do, it can write computer programs for you. Okay, it can write computer programs for you. Apart from this, like, it does have similarly many applications. Now we see, like, nowadays there are, let's say, there are anchors, TV anchors, I mean, like anchors who are reading newspapers, so they are artificial intelligence thing. So they are also like associated with generative AI, means like anchors also. So this is mimicking the human behavior, right? So this is the thing. So generative AI has endless applications. It has endless applications. Like most of us might have seen how it generates content through ChatGPT, right? But the thing is, otherwise also there are many other ways, right? It can make videos for you. It can make graphics. It can, write computer programs, right? It can write research paper for you. Okay, what it can do? It can write research paper. Okay, it can write research paper part. It can help you in writing research papers. So there are so many applications. I mean, like, there are endless applications like this of generative artificial intelligence, right? And this generative AI actually has revolutionized the way we think about things. For example, the Gutenberg printing press has revolutionized the way how knowledge was transmitted. Similarly, it has also revolutionized. But the thing is, like, are there concerns associated with this? There are definitely many concerns associated with this, okay? There are so many concerns, and some of the concerns are genuine and some of the concerns does have some vested interest as well. I will discuss about it. The moment, right, the moment that people have come up with this generative AI, so that time, right, many people have signed an open letter, okay? They have signed an open letter. I have written the name of the letter for you. It is known as Pause Giant AI Experiments. Okay, so people have signed a letter which is known as Pause Giant means big, AI Experiments. Okay, Pause Giant AI Experiments. Okay, Pause Giant Experiments, an open letter. Okay, so people have written an open letter for it. So what is this? What this showcases means the moment the ChatGPT was launched, the moment a generative AI was launched for open public, right? So there were people, they were very learned people, those people like who were, let's say Elon Musk has signed this open letter. Along with this, many scientists who are working in artificial intelligence, they have also signed this letter, which is known as pause giant AI experiments, right? What they wanted that these experiments should be paused for at least 6 months. This should be paused for about some time, so that the world can see what can be its positive and negative effects, right? What can be its positive and negative effect. Why they did, they had concern related to this, right? Why they had concerns related to this? They had concerns related to this because of various things. For example, initially when ChatGPT was launched, that time if you ask anything, it used to give answer, but whether those answers were factually correct or not, it is questionable. It was questionable, means the factual correctness. Okay, so if I talk about the concerns associated with this, okay, concerns associated with generative AI. So one thing is, it could generate factually, right, incorrect information, incorrect or misleading information, right? Misleading information. So that was one issue which is associated with this. Okay, so let's consider, like, you are writing something, you are asking it to give some answer, and it is giving answer in a very structured manner. It seems that it has given a right answer. However, like, if there are factual wrong thing, if you are a learned person, if you know about that subject, if you know about the answer also for the question that you have written, you will be able to identify what is incorrect in that answer. But if you are a new person, for example, if you are a school going kid, right, and if you type something, it gives an answer, so that student, he is going to read it and he is going to consider it to be right. Okay, so he is going to consider it to be right. So the thing is, it raises an ethical question. The question is about, like, correctness of the information that it gives also. So this is one concern that is associated. The other concern that is associated with this is related to bias. Okay, it is known as bias. Bias means these generative AI, right, these systems, right, to build these systems, people give huge amount of data inputs, right? So data is given as input, so it needs huge amount of data input, and these inputs act as parameters. Okay, it acts as parameters. So billions of parameters are given, and from these parameters, this generative AI learns. Okay, it learns, and after learning, what, like, whenever you ask question, it is going to, let's say, do like permutation, combination on those things, and it is going to give you results out of it. So the thing is, like, the data that is given as input, right, only those companies that are managing this thing, they are aware what kind of data they are giving, they are aware what methods they are following. It is generally not known to the public at large, right? It is not known to the public at large that, like, but it is not known to the public at large means, like, what methods they are following, what type of data they are giving. So it has a problem of opaqueness. Okay, opaqueness. So that's why, I mean, like, that's why people demand that, like, it should be made open source. What? It should be made open source. Open source means where the source code should also be known to the general public at large. For example, the government of India has come up with an application which is CoWIN portal. You might have heard about it. During COVID-19, we had come up with CoWIN. And also the government of India had an application which is known as Arogya Setu. Okay, Arogya Setu. So what was Arogya Setu? Arogya Setu was contact tracing app. Means, for example, if you are affected by COVID-19, then, like, let's say, like, so you will be having a mobile number, so there will be a geolocation track, means other people will get to know that in this area there is a person who is affected by COVID-19. So that will help people to stay isolated, so that, like, the disease does not go further. So that was a technological innovation that India has done during COVID timing. So since this innovation was beneficial for Indian people, so government of India wanted that this should be beneficial to the people at large across the world, right? For that, what they have done, they have made its source code to be open, right? So they have made it open, okay, its source code to be open, means they made it open source, so that any country across the world, if they want to develop similar applications, they do have a blueprint with them, okay? They just only need to do some changes, right, into the coding, into the naming, into the, let's say, design, etc. Otherwise, they have everything blueprint. So that's why people are saying that, like, to address the issue of opaqueness, because, like, people at large, we don't know, we just only ask questions, it gives answers, we don't know what method it is following, how much accurate data it has and all. So it does have this problem. And also, if I talk about the bias means, like, having only one-sided view. For example, we are people, right? We are people, we are learning in schools, we are learning in colleges. So we learn about positive also, we learn about negatives, we learn about so many dimensions of the things. However, like, it has a bias of giving one type of answer, like, few types of answers, means, like, that also has some kind of biasness in it. So that's why this is the thing. And these systems, for example, I'll take the example of ChatGPT. Okay, if I take the example of ChatGPT, so these systems, what they do, they act as black boxes. Okay, they act as black box in the sense that the data that is given as input into it, right? So initially data is given input. So after then it does, let's say, learning. It learns from the data that is given as input. And the answer that is generated, on those answers, you don't have any control. You understanding? Means, like, after giving the input, whatever it generates, it generates on the basis of learning that it does itself, right? So that's why it is considered to be a black box. The moment it starts giving wrong information, right? So it will keep on giving wrong information, because certain wrong parameters have also gone into the system. So that's also a concern, right? That, like, it acts as a black box in this sense. So there are less control, like, of this on this system, even to those people who have given input to it, right? Because there can be a bias on these systems. Okay, so this is another, let's say, issue that is associated with this particular thing. And if I talk about other issues, right, there can be many other issues. And let's say in academic institutions, people who are doing PhD, who are writing research papers, right? So to get their PhD completed, so they have to submit thesis, they have to submit their research paper, right? And so it is expected that these people should be putting their effort in doing the experiments, in learning the things, and then coming up with their own writings for completion of the PhD or completion of the research paper. What it is doing, it is actually, like, they just put the thing and it gives the results on this. So the thing is, like, people are putting lesser effort, and it has a tendency of making people dumb in the sense, like, now we are applying our brain, because, like, we have to go through the process. But, like, if you start getting the things, let's say, ready-made, so the thing is, like, you will not be putting effort. So the upcoming generation, the school going kids, the college going kids, like, who will be habituated of completing their assignments using this thing, what they will do, they will tend to, right, they will tend to, let's say, like, for any assignment that the teacher gives, so they will be writing it there, and they will be getting the output, and they will be just, like, submitting it. So it's going to, let's say, bring down the intellectual capability of people, because mind has a lot of muscles. The more, let's say, like, you make it work, so it will be able to, let's say, like, give you the ideas, give you the thought process of it. So this is also a concern that is associated with generative AI, particularly with the generative AI that generates the contents for you, okay, that generates the contents. So that's why it is considered, right, it is seen, it is being taken positively also for the good work that it does, but it may have, and it has, many negative effects also, many negative effects that we have talked, right? What are the positive effects that we have talked? Positive thing is, like, it makes our work easy, right? It saves the, let's say, human work hour. For example, if you have to, the translation work that I said, right? So it makes it easy, means, like, it is easier. However, it does have concerns that it can make people jobless, because it's going to take away, right? It's going to take away jobs of people, because it is automating the processes, right? So other concern, right? If I talk about other concern related to this, okay, so what can be the other concerns related to this? One of the concern is concerns related to ethics. Ethics means we might have heard about biopiracy. We might have heard about piracy and other things. So here it may lead to piracy in academic institutions, right? For the people who are doing research, okay? So it may lead to piracy related issues. And also there are grave concerns that this, because of the issue that generative AI can act as black boxes, it can also, write fake news, right? It can write fake news, okay? What it can do, it can write fake news, and these fake news, let's say if it spreads rapidly, right? So it's going to be a cause of concerns for people, for the society, and for the law and order, let's say institutions who manage the law and order. For example, we are now seeing that in the state of Manipur, right, violence is happening. It has been happening for over 2 months, but the government machinery was not able to control that violence that is happening, right? Was not able to control. So there might have been some element of fake news also that might have infuriated some groups, right? And so it has sparked that tension, and it had rippling effect. So since these are black boxes, the moment people start using this for generating, let's say, fake news and all, so it will be generating it, and they can spread this particular thing. So this is also an ethical concern associated with this, okay? So recently, there were discussions among scientists, data scientists and artificial intelligence scientists. So they have discussed that that these issues can be tackled if there is a standard, let's say, standard of operating procedure for these artificial intelligences. For that, the world need to come together. They need to they need to sign the pact related to how do we control or regulate this thing. So the question is not controlling, question is regulating, so that we get the positive aspect of it and we can reduce the negative aspects from it. For example, right, for example, if I discuss about this particular thing recently, so you might have heard about this organization which is GPAI. Did we hear about it? GPAI. What is the GPAI? Global platform. Kuch to tha, GPAI, right? So it was there. India is a party to it, right? So it is kind of, let's say, global partnership for artificial intelligence, right? Global partnership. So we all have heard about GPAI. GPAI means Global Partnership for Artificial Intelligence. So GPAI was started by different countries, and one of the, let's say, signing member, means the initial member was India also. So the time when it was in news, that time it used to have 10 member countries. How many member countries? 10 member countries. But later on, many new member countries has joined, right? Global Partnership for Artificial Intelligence. What is this? This is a partnership among different countries, and these countries are working, right? They are working together. Why? So that we can regulate the artificial intelligence effectively. Okay, we can regulate the artificial intelligence. We can regulate the AI effectively. AI means generative AI, and there are other versions of AI also. So this global partnership on artificial intelligence is an important thing that you need to learn about, how many member countries are there, what are its, let's say, objectives. And apart from this, there are organizations across the world. For example, one of the organization is United Nations Development Program, okay, UNDP. I think the UNDP has also come up with a blueprint. Okay, it has come up with a blueprint related to how do we regulate, right, this artificial intelligence. Is regulation necessary? Is regulation important? Yes, regulation is important. Why? Otherwise, it will not be having sanctity. Sanctity means there should be coherence in the information that it provides, right? The moment it starts generating, means let's consider like I am a person who is very expert in computer science, who can meddle with, who can do changes in the artificial intelligence system. If I inject some, let's say, wrong information into the AI system, then it will keep on generating wrong information across the world wherever people are asking the information from here, and it will lead to rippling effect related to that. So that's why, to address those concerns like this, there should be, let's say, some framework between different countries, so that using those framework we can regulate the artificial intelligence well. Okay, so that's also an issue that is associated. Okay, so apart from this, we will talk about some other important factors related to this. What can be the, let's say, implications of, okay, what can be the implications of generative AI? Implications in the sense, the positive part of it, negative part of it. Yes. So here we'll be writing the positive aspects, and here we'll be writing the negative aspects of it. So tell me, if I talk about positive aspects, one of the positive aspect of it would be that it's going to make our work easy. Means it is going to make us efficient, right? It is going to make us efficient in writing contents and coming up with, let's say, like, creative ideas. Okay, so efficiency is associated with this. But what can be the, let's say, counter part of it? What can be the negative aspect of it? Means it can generate misleading information. What it can do? It can generate misleading information, right? It can generate misleading information. Second, what can be the other positive effect of it? Any idea that is coming to you? The other thing that it can come up with is, let's say, it can be used to develop new medical treatments. Okay, so it can be, let's say, used for developing new ideas, or let's say medical treatment or other things. Medical treatment in the sense, it will come up with ideas, right? That, like, for this disease you do this, you do that, right? Developing new medical treatment or ideas or other innovations, right? It will help us in doing innovations, right, etc. What can be the negative aspect associated with it? Negative aspect can be, let's say, this misleading can be written here, and also it does have biasness. Okay, it does have biasness also. So there are issues related to biasness. So in front of it you can write down this misleading information, in front of it you can write down this biasness. Then it can be used for creating new forms of art. Okay, for new forms of art or music, right? Or we can write stories, etc. So this can be one of the positive aspect of using generative AI. Then what can be the negative thing? It can take away jobs, right? So jobs, like, so people may, people may lose jobs. Why? Because it is automating the process. So if it is automating the process, no one is going to, let's say, pay for this thing to another person to do it for him, right? But, like, this related to this, there are, let's say, its anti is also there. If it is taking away job, it is also coming up with new avenues of job, because we will be requiring those people who will be working in artificial intelligence related things, who will be doing research and development, who will be teaching. So, like, it does have many effect. Let's say, like, it can create, right? It can create new jobs also, right? New jobs. Because, like, every innovation that happens across the world, this innovation has rippling effect for the generations to come. For example, we have seen the Gutenberg printing press. The moment initially it was, let's say, established, like it was developed, right, it was invented, it had some positive impact. That time people were not able to reap the benefit out of it, the to the amount that they can do. But nowadays you see, like, everybody else is printing the thing, like, there are photocopy companies that are making photocopy machines, there are companies, let's say, that they are printing, there are people who are taking the benefit, sale related things are happening. So there are multiple, let's say, aspects associated with this. So, like, it does have, let's say, potential of creating new avenues of job. So why people do innovation, right? Why innovation is important? Like, if I talk about Western countries, right, many Western countries across the world, for example, United States of America, Germany, right, European Union. So these people invest a huge amount of money, right, into the research and development. Why research and development? Because the research and development is going to come up with some kind of innovation, and this innovation will lead to newer market, newer avenues for, let's say, creating new products, and those new products can be beneficial for, let's say, millions of human beings. And since it is going to be beneficial, it is also going to be give benefit to the people who are doing the R&D activities, and it also, let's say, enhances the economic activity. You understanding? So that's why doing research and development always have positive impact, right? Always have positive impact. So far India has ventured into this thing, but, like, there were lesser grants from the government of India side. There were lesser grants for research and development. So it was largely left to the private sector that you do your R&D and, like, you come up with this. There are some sectors in India, for example, if I talk about the space sector, the Indian Space Research Organization, it is one of the pioneering industries across the world that does cutting edge research in the space sector. Similarly, we have, let's say, CSIR labs also across India that does, let's say, invention in some or other aspect, right? But the thing is, like, we need revolutionizing changes, and for that government of India has recently passed one thing which is known as National Research Foundation Bill. Okay, so you might have heard about this thing. We have passed National Research Foundation Bill. So this we have established, right, this National Research Foundation. It is known as NRF. So what is this National Research Foundation? I'm just, trying to connect the dots for you so that you understand various aspects of everything, right? So this National Research Foundation, so it is going to be a body. It's going to be a body like University Grants Commission is a body now. Similarly, it's going to be a body that's going to foster the culture of research and development in India. How? It is going to bring together, okay, it's going to bring together the private sector, okay, the private sector, the government, right, and the research and developmental institutions. How? The government sector is there, let's say, to support for research and development. The private sector needs new avenues for, let's say, like, coming up with innovative ideas. So private sector, I mean, like, they're interested in doing research and development, and we have many research and development institutions in India. For example, IITs, Indian Institute of Technologies, NITs, many engineering colleges, right? So we do research in, let's say, technological areas. We do research in non-technological areas also, in humanities, in mathematics, in STEM related things. So the thing is, like, it is going to bring together that thing. And recently this bill has been passed through the parliament, where, like, for the first 5 years, they have outlaid 50,000 crore rupees, right? 50,000 crore rupees for this particular project. Out of the 50,000 crore rupees, 36,000 crore rupees will come from the private sector, and 14,000 crore rupees will come from the government part. Okay, and how it is going to come from the private sector? The private sector are going to fund this thing through their CSR activity. What is CSR? CSR stands for Corporate Social Responsibility. Okay, so as part of corporate social responsibility, like, we have the Companies Act 2013 that mandates certain profit making entities. For example, there are government profit making entities like public sector undertaking, NTPC, IOCL, like many companies like that, and there are private sector entities also. For example, Wipro, Infosys, TCS, there are many such companies, right? So through their CSR, the government wants to, let's say, like, let's say, source money for this particular project. So this is the thing, it is going to create a, let's say, a board, separate board, which is going to look into the affair of this research and development, its grant and, like, approval of different projects and all. So these are the things, I mean, like, which is going to
because the government was not able to fund in R&D, the budgetary outlay was not getting increased in state, it was getting declined. So in order to enhance the participation of private organization or private companies, basically this was introduced. One of the reasons was,
yeah, there are many reasons, like,
can CSR be really helpful in funding R&D, because there are no fixed like the banking sectors, like.
Yeah, I do understand that, like, CSR, the corporate social responsibility. So there is fixed amount, let's say out of your profit, you need to pay 1.5%. You need to pay 2% towards CSR activities. That CSR has many dimensions into it. Health sector, education sector, research and development sector, rural development. So many areas are there. Yeah, they do not, yes.
If you compare it from analogy of bank, then they don't have any like priority sector to invest.
Yeah, they do not have the priority sector to invest, and they do not have any, let's say, like, restriction that you need to invest this much percent into the CSR activity. However, like, let's say, like, this is initially that the government has come up with, and this is going to mimic. So, like, in United States of America, they have a similar institution which is known as National Research Foundation, National Science Foundation in USA, and in Germany also they have similar institution. In European Union they have, and those things have proved to be very beneficial, because, like, they have, fostered new areas of development, right? So they have, helped in like many new research and developmental activity. So they have, the government of India has done it, right, in a similar manner that other countries have done. And government of India does not want to give the entire funding from your side, their side. Why? Because they want private sector to also participate, to, let's say, give funding and also get benefit out of the funding. So this is the thing. I mean, like, how it is going to work, it is still to be seen. But the thing is, like, it is a good thing that, like, they have established an institutional mechanism for fostering the research and development in various sectors, right, including STEM. Science, technology, engineering and medicine, right? Okay. Sometimes we may think it is mathematics. Huh? Maths. Okay.
Incentive to invest so much in research, because they are mainly profit oriented, right, sir? Don't you think there is a lack in this?
No, like, initially, if you see it from the outside, right, if you see from outside, you may think that, like, there is no incentive for the private sector. However, let me talk about, so, like, the private sector are the ones that have been the largest innovators across the world, not only in India, across the world. Because, like, if we take the example of any big company, be it, let's say, Amazon, be it Flipkart, be it any company, so they came up with innovative ideas, they came up with innovative solution. They have done their R&D also. For example, Johnson's and Johnson's, so, like, it's a company, I mean, like, that makes products for medicine, drug related products and all, or lifestyle related products. So, like, there is a medicine that this company develops, Johnson's and Johnson's. It is known as bedaquiline. Okay, it is bedaquiline. So this bedaquiline is a drug, right? It is a drug for treatment of tuberculosis. They have developed this drug in the year of 2002. Okay, 2002. And since then it has got this particular product patented across multiple jurisdictions in the world. Means, like, more than 100 countries they have got patent rights, right? So, like, wherever across the world there were treatment of cancer, so people used to purchase this thing. This company has made huge amount of profit. Recently, in the year of 2022, like, you know, the patent rights, right? Patent rights are given for a period of 20 years, right? It is given for a period of 20 years. So after 20 years, it has expired. What it has done, it has expired. But the thing is, like, they can apply for secondary patent. They can bring some changes into the formulation so that, like, you know, they can get secondary patent. They have applied in multiple countries. They have got approved also. In India, it was not approved because, like, there were some litigation happening and the courts have denied this particular thing. So a company that does involve itself into the research and development, that company, like, initially they invest money. The moment the product is made, the moment they are able to get it patented, after then it is their reaping time, means like it is their time to get the benefit of the research and development that they have done. So this is about, let's say, individualized effort from a particular company. But the thing is, this National Research Foundation, so like we, as of now, we largely know about the structure, that this is going to be a body, it's going to work on research and development. However, later on, right, later on, once the body is established, once things are in place, so there will be different projects that will be approved, that, like, you know, projects related to artificial intelligence, projects related to building some, like, a space related, let's say, module, projects related to something in medicine, right? So there can be different projects, and these projects, let's say, like, once developed, right, once developed, so if it is developed through collaborative effort of private and government entities, so accordingly the basically, like, you know, in future there can be things that one particular company, let's say it is Wipro, it is thing, so if they want to do R&D in the field of, let's say, artificial intelligence, so in that case what they can do, they can fund a project, you know, that they have chosen for themselves. The moment this project becomes big, so they will be reaping the benefit out of it. So it can be there. Recently, today it was in news that this Wipro company, what they have done, they have collaborated with IIT Delhi and they have set up a new avenue for doing research and development in artificial intelligence. So there are many companies who do collaboration, partnership with different companies like that. So it does have benefit, right? It gives benefits to these companies. So that's the thing. So it has concerns. Why concerns? Because this is the new phase, the developing phase. For example, anything that is into the developmental phase, it's not a mature product. If I talk about ChatGPT or generative AI, it's not a very mature product. The companies who have been doing research and development, for example, OpenAI has been doing R&D into this, like, from past many years, right? So maybe 5-6 years they have been doing R&D. They have been investing money. So the moment they have realized that our product is mature enough to be released for the public, they have released and they have the first mover advantage, means like they become the first company to have released such a product in a wide scale and that have received, let's say, like, you know, wide appreciation from the public at large. Other companies also have been doing R&D in this field, right? Some of those companies have tried to release it, but it failed, but still they are doing R&D. So there will be research and development into many similar areas, right? Many related areas in future, and many companies will come up with their own product, right? They will come up with their own product, and it's going to benefit the people like me and you, and it is going to benefit the companies also, because this is a new, let's say, development, and anything that is developed, let's say this is developed, so it does have concerns related to piracy, concerns related to black box, concerns related to fake information, concerns related to biasness, concerns related to misinformation. It can have multiple concerns, but these concerns are being known as people are using it. We are realizing that, like, you know, what, let's say, like, what are the things that it lacks. So these companies who have developed, they are going to address those issues one by one. Slowly and gradually down the line, from let's say from now till after 5 years, we may see a new phase, right? A mature phase of this generative AI. We have started seeing that, like, you know, there are news anchors, right, who are reading the news. There can be many other ways also. Maybe, like, you know, after some time, the teaching learning thing becomes all artificial intelligence, like people like us may not be teaching. that can be the case. Okay, but the thing is, like, you know, this is a revolutionary change, right? It's going to bring changes in many areas, and it is going to have more beneficial thing as compared to negative aspects. Why? Because many countries across the world are thinking of regulating. This regulating should not be taken in a negative connotation. It should be taken in a positive way, because regulation will help to address the lacuna that is existing, to address the, let's say, like, deficiencies that are existing into the system, right? So that will help. And also various governments will come up with their own policy to regulate it. Okay, so like it will lead to a new arena, new area of like policy making, right? So policy makers will also be people like who will, let's say, do their part into this, right? So it's going to affect, right, more positively than negatively across the world. It's going to affect people positively more, right, than negatively. So these are the things that are connected. And like in the let's say like this ED booklet that we have provided, in the ED booklet we have mentioned many things like opportunities and all. Okay, so generative AI cause for worry or opportunities we have mentioned. What are the challenges? One of the challenge that it is having. So now let us discuss about what are the challenges that it has. Okay, so let me write down those challenges so that like we understand. So these challenges, like, although these challenges are existing as of now, but these challenges will be addressed by these companies or other companies that are developing, competitive companies. Recently Elon Musk has also announced that it is going to come up with a similar project like this. Okay, so many companies are doing this. Yeah.
How do you differentiate between negative implication and concerns? Both are same, right?
Both are same, right?
So we can integrate both these.
Yeah, we can integrate, means like, negative implication, see, concerns are those things that are, let's say, very recent. Let's say if we want to differentiate between concerns and implications, concerns are something that are existing recent that we are thinking that this can be addressed. Implications are larger things in a larger way, right, for which, like, we need to come up with the structured solution. Okay, this is the thing. So concerns and negative implications will be same. So the challenges that it face at this point of time is data quality and quantity issue. Okay, so one of the challenges is data quality issue, because like, it does give misinformation. So that's data quality, and for that, like, there has to be cleaning activity by these companies, right, internal cleaning activity from the generative AI thing. Then model performance and evaluation, model explainability and trustworthiness. Trustworthiness will come with more usage, with more, let's say, positive outcome than negative outcome. Okay, bias, so this bias we have discussed, it can be addressed. Security and privacy issues. Okay, so this security and privacy issue is a big issue. Okay, this security and privacy, okay, security and privacy is a big issue. Why? Because using generative AI, what we can do is, like, we can take the image or photograph face of a person, and we can add this face to any video that is there. Okay, any video. Yeah, morphing, face morphing, like that. Yeah, deep fake. Yeah, so we can create, let's say, one of the thing is like we can create deep fake. So we have seen, like, deep fake videos of, let's say, Ukrainian president was there. Deep fake videos of Russian president Vladimir Putin, it was there. So creation of deep fake becomes easy. So, like, it is one of the security challenges, because if this deep fake is used against any person, right, individual person who is not that much known and all, so the moment he gets to know that, like, my face has been morphed into this, so there can be, let's say, like, emotional challenges for that person to handle, right? So there can be emotional problems that that person may face. So deep fake is a concern. And privacy, right? So using generative AI, means generative AI we have just now understood, but, like, there can be artificial intelligence systems in future, and using just one artificial intelligence system, like, that is made with malicious intent, what they can do is, like, they can hack the data from public repositories, data from, let's say, big organizations, data related to people's name, their phone number, their email address. So data leakage can be another issue. Data leakage, theft, and, like, misuse of these data may also happen. However, to address those challenges, there are legal frameworks that are already existing, and the upcoming legal frameworks will address those things. And in India also, let's say, like, we have recently, let's say, Home Minister of India has recently introduced 3 laws. One of the law is Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita, which is going to replace Indian Penal Code, right? Then Bharatiya Nagrik Suraksha Sanhita, it is going to replace Criminal Procedure Code, okay, Code of Criminal Procedure. Then they have Bharatiya Sakshya, which is going to replace Indian Evidence Act. So they have come up with this, and they have, let's say, like, entered new definitions for, let's say, terrorism. They have entered new offenses over there, means like, organized crime, terrorism, then cow vigilance, murder related things. So they have done it. In future, when something like this happens, right, so they may amend this particular act and they will come up with those things so that it can address. So those issues, right, can be addressed in a legal manner, right? So that's the thing. So similarly, many such things, but like, largely we need to understand that, like, it is a positive development for the world at large, for us, for everyone. Why positive development? Because, like, because it's going to give us more avenues to learn more, to be efficient, and at the same time, it's going to, let's say, bring down the human, human, what we say, effort in doing the things, right? So it's going to bring down the human effort in doing the things. For example, every innovation that has happened in the world, for that there has always been criticism, and those criticisms have been addressed also. Think about a person who has for the first time told that, like, the planet is round. I mean, like, a person who has told that the planet is round. So what people have done to him? People have, let's say, like, killed him basically, because they were challenging the authority of the, let's say, this thing, churches, right? So new things meet with challenges, but as the society progresses, as the society becomes mature, right, when there are scientific evidences of the good thing, right, so then it becomes established that, like, something new has happened, something good has happened. For example, I'm just giving you examples so that you have different perspectives. Albert Einstein has talked about gravitational waves in 1916 when he came up with this thing. He came up with special theory of relativity, general theory of relativity. In general theory of relativity, he predicted that gravitational waves exist. In 2016, the USA LIGO detector has detected that gravitational wave actually exists, right? So people who have thought about it, they have thought, let's say, hundreds of years back, and that time maybe people were rejecting him, but now it is established fact, right? It's established fact. So that's how things changes, right? And any innovation, any new idea, right, so it has to be evaluated, right, in a manner that we can see clearly what is positive, what is negative, and then, like, if they do more research, so, like, it will be refined, okay? So it is going to largely have positive impact than negative impact, right? So with this, like, we have given some questions also at the end of it, right? What are the questions? Questions are given at the end of the ED booklet, so you need to write answers to these questions. After writing the answers, you can share it with us, okay? So in my case, I'll be evaluating this. One of the question is the rise of generative AI, okay? So I'll be writing both these questions. Some of the people who are attending online, they may not be having, so they may be having because it is uploaded in the description of the YouTube. So one of the question is the rise of generative AI has made several things easier. The rise of generative AI has made several things easier. Has made several things easier, but has compromised on numerous aspects. But has compromised on numerous aspects like academic integrity, okay, like academic integrity and work ethics, and you can write down it, work ethics. Now the question is the compromise justified in comparison? Okay, is the compromise justified in comparison to the benefits of generative AI? Okay, benefits of generative AI. So you need to argue. There is one more question. Okay, so I'll be writing both the questions so that you can practice. And so if you have any question like that you want to ask me, you can definitely ask. I'll try to answer meanwhile. Despite the revolutionary potential of generative AI, despite the revolutionary potential of generative AI, it has raised several concerns. It has raised several concerns, right? So you need to examine this. So these are the two questions that you can practice writing, and after you write, what you can do is like you can share it with us. As of now, I do not have a separate email ID for this, so I'll be sharing my email address, which is Jahidul@lukmaanias.com. For all those people who are writing, they can share it over here. All the students who have joined this course, what they can do is like you can upload it into the students portal after writing a students portal, or people who are coming offline, they can share the hard copy of the let's say answer. So I'll be evaluating. Okay, so this is the thing. Some people have written, yes, online people have been participating it really well. So they have written so many things. Sir, how can government regulate a generative AI, as who is to be made accountable? Government is already facing issues regarding social media regulation since many years, right? So now Akhil has written this question, right? So the question is like how the government can regulate generative AI, who will be made accountable. So he has talked about the social media also. So related to social media, the government of India has come up with social media intermediaries and ethics code like that in 2021. They have amended that thing also. Now the social media giants, they are held accountable, right, for many things. Like, they have also been made that like, you should, initially they came up with self-regulation code that they could do self-regulation. And after then, the government has mandated that they should be having a public information official who would be responsible to answer to people within a certain limited time, maybe 24 or 48 hours. So slowly and gradually governments like Government of India or other governments, they are coming up with their own data protection laws, own data protection regulation. And so if I talk about the European Union has also come up with this particular thing, GDPR regulation, which is known as General Data Protection Regulation. So the General Data Protection Regulation protects the rights of the users. The users can ask a company to erase their data from the company, which is known as right to be forgotten, right? In India also, like we have tried to come up with this, with a similar thing. From past 5 years, the Government of India has been, let's say, struggling to come up with a data protection regulation. So we have come up with this Digital Personal Data Protection Act, right, 2023. However, this act also, let's say, has many concerns in it. Many concerns are in the sense that government departments are excluded, like, they have many exclusionary things that, like, they are not liable for many things. Private players have been made liable. Even data principal like us, we have been given duties and responsibilities. Fines can be imposed upon us. So this is the thing. Now, if I talk about how can government regulate this, okay? So for regulating, basically, like, it is a part of policy formulation. Initially, to regulate anything, first the government comes up with a policy. Policy is the initial stage of formulation of a law. Policy talks about broad guidelines, like what are the things that needs to be done, how the things needs to be done. Once the policy matures, then they come up with laws, they come up with regulation, okay? So, like, initially the government of India means, like, we have already partnered in this global partnership for artificial intelligence. In India also, like, we are setting up different authorities. So, like, and it is not the case that Indian government has to initiate this particular thing. Across the world, there is a consciousness among different world leaders that we need to regulate the generative AI. For that, like, they have created international forums. I have discussed about this UNDP, United Nations Development Program. So they have come up with a blueprint, right? How to regulate this generative AI. Means, like, they have come up with very detailed blueprint that different governments can take it and they can mold it to suit their own requirement, okay? So that will be that will be answered to Akhil's question. And so Akhil is saying copyright infringement. So that's like, so copyright infringement is one of the concerns, because let's say if in generative AI, for example, I'm doing PhD, right? What I'm doing PhD. I'm asking the generative AI thing to give answers to me, to, let's say, come up with points. I'm using those points and I'm putting in front of my professors so that my PhD thesis gets approved, right? If it is approved, so I will be passing. But the thing is, like, there are copyright infringement. Whose copyright it is? It is actually generated by a artificial intelligence system. So that's also a concern related to this. Akhil has written another question. Is it also giving incorrect factual information very confidently? Yes, he is saying it is also giving. Yeah, definitely. It gives, like, incorrect factual information confidently. I mean, like, it writes, but the thing is, like, recently there were recommendations also. Since I keep on reading newspaper recently, like, there are people who are part of this generative AI team, like, who are working on this. They have suggested, means, like, as of now, if you ask anything, it will answer that, like, to my mind, I am thinking this thing, right? I think this is the right thing. So it writes like a person. But there was a person who has recommended that, like, we can build new pronouns, right? Pronouns means like I, me, he, means like it's a grammatical thing. We can build new pronouns so that, like, the answer that it gives, it uses those pronouns which is gender neutral. As of now, like, me, he, she, I mean, like, we are gendered person. I mean, like, so we have this thing. So people have suggested that, like, it can be made to answer through gendered pronouns, so that, like, people get to know that this answer has been generated by an artificial intelligence system. So this suggestion was given by a person who actually gives data as inputs to this artificial intelligence. It was also recently in news. Okay, so there are many concerns like this that happens, but the thing is, as I discussed, any new technology that develops, anything that develops, initially there are bound to be, let's say, like, concerns of people. There will be criticism, but the thing is, the system once made, it can always be improved, right? And those issues will be addressed at a later date. And this is one of the revolutionary invention that has happened, right? And this revolutionary change is going to last for long, okay? There will be new changes also that happens. And in the field of science and technology, every day new invention, innovation happens, right? So this is the thing. So we should take it in a positive manner. And when you are writing an answer to this, you can write criticism also. Then, like, you can come up with this positive thing, because, like, regulation can always happen, right? Through laws, through policies, right? So that's the thing. So any other question that anyone want to ask? So did you understand the topic? Okay. So was I clear in sharing the ideas? Okay, rest of the thing you can read from this particular booklet. Okay, so once you read, so you will come across those points that you can use in writing an answer. Okay, so that's all from my side for online people. Thank you so much everyone for attending this session, and I hope you have a good day ahead. We will soon meet again. We will have another discussion right on science and technology related matter. Generally, I mean, like, you know, they have, yeah, means this is the application part of it. They have written it. I mean, like, this is made by the content team. Okay, so we have a content team. They may make it. Faculties, I mean, like,
we still monitor the generative AI. These are the
yeah, means like what we need to do now, we need to check for biases that it has so that the biasness can be reduced. Second way forward is giving gendered pronouns can be, let's say, like, you know, gender neutral pronouns can be used by it. That will be a way forward. Third way forward is cleaning of the data can happen. Fourth way forward is, like, you know, there should be effective policy measures so that we can regulate this thing. Fifth would be, like, you know, addressing the ethical concerns related to it. Okay, there will be many ethical concerns. Ethical concerns means ethics in academics, right? So that ethical concern can be addressed, right? How? Gendered pronouns is one of the way forward for that.
Sir, can you say that instead of giving everything to generative AI, like right from conception of idea to the production of a product, like it can be used in those areas where human can be, you know, complementarily helped, like where the task needs to be repetitive or where there needs to be analysis of a large number of data. But regarding the like innovation and ideas, or that cannot be replaced, like any machine cannot replace human mind. So in that aspect, it should not interfere.
Now, yes, means like, right, you are saying it right. See, human mind is boundless. Why boundless? Because we can think in any direction possible. These artificial intelligence systems, they can think only on those directions for which they have received inputs. Are we getting? They have received inputs and they can only do permutation combination on the inputs that they have, right? So like they cannot, let's say, replace the human mind. This is one thing for sure. For example, Albert Einstein, the example that I have given way back, I mean, like, you know, 1916, he has come up with general, like, you know, he has come up with the special theory of relativity, general theory of relativity. In general theory of relativity, he predicted many things, like, you know, he has talked about gravitational waves, he has talked about, let's say, this time-space related thing, okay, space-time fabric, he has talked about many things. So that's something of human creativity. These things may not happen very soon over here. In generative AI, there are two things. One of the thing is, let's say, like, you know, supervised learning. As of now, they are doing supervised learning thing, means, like, you know, they are these systems are given inputs by human beings. So it is supervised, and also it is supervised what answer it is giving. After some time, when these systems become mature, so they will be known as general artificial intelligence. So general artificial intelligence will work as human beings, right? And they will be also thinking in an endless manner. So they will be having the capacity of unsupervised learning. As of now, supervised learning means we are giving the inputs, we are supervising the outputs, we are seeing how it is happening. Later on, it will itself, let's say, like, you know, start doing those activities, okay? So that general artificial intelligence, like, you know, maybe after couple of years, 10 years, 20 years, we can see the development of general artificial intelligence also.
Suppose in a medical sector, if a new case study comes, like regarding the disease, that is a new manifestation in a particular individual. So where we can use generative AI, like
I'll give you an example for this. So sorry to cut you short on this, like, you know, recently it was published that, like, you know, we have, let's say, like, you know, different kinds of molecules, let's say, like at DNA level, okay, molecular studies. So we know which molecule does which function, protein synthesis, etc. Recently there was like Google, I think Google, one of the company, Google, has done a research where they have, let's say, like, you know, come up with structures, right? Structures of all the possible proteins in human beings. बिलियंस ऑफ प्रोटीन्स के वो स्ट्रक्चर वो आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस का यूज करके, यूजिंग आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस दे हैव क्रिएटेड बिलियंस ऑफ प्रोटीन्स, ठीक है, मतलब प्रोटीन का स्ट्रक्चर which is, let's say, like, in the paper they have mentioned it would take, let's say, like, hundreds of years for, millions of people working together to come up with that thing. So that generative, that particular, let's say, artificial intelligence system has come up with this thing already. So the thing is, like, how do people, right, develop, let's say, like, medication or drug for any disease? First of all, they need to identify the cause of the disease. They need to identify the symptoms of the disease, right? They need to identify the structure of the, let's say, proteins or whatever, like what we say, pathogen that is there. They need to identify the structure of the pathogen over there. Then they need to come up with the antigens, right, that can work against it, right? For that, there are machine systems. Like if I talk about, I'll give you an example. We do have many IITs in India, right? So most of these IITs, the big IITs, they have been given supercomputers, right? So for example, in IIT Kharagpur, they have Param Siddhi, I think, if I'm not wrong. Param Siddhi is a supercomputer. So in those supercomputers, the researchers, what they do, they generally, I mean, like, they have certain, they have some information, they want to conduct an experiment. So they give input to the supercomputers, right? And they get the answer after 7 days, 10 days from there. So that supercomputer is doing computation at a very fast rate for long period of time to come up with something. Okay, so these supercomputers are doing the work, and this artificial intelligence system, what they are going to do, they are going to, let's say, complement the supercomputers. Supercomputers are doing the computations on the set directions that are given to it, and human beings are given the directions. These generative AI, artificial intelligence, they will be mimicking the human brain. They will be giving the inputs also, ki ha, on these inputs you come up with the result. So it's going to fasten the process. But like human beings will not be replaced, because like human beings have the capacity of bringing these things together. Like you can definitely.
Like you said, supercomputer will do the computational, and after the computational part is done, generative AI will analyze over those data, right, sir? They can give different scenarios, like how to tackle a disease. Their work stops. Like afterwards,
after then comes the clinical trials. After then comes the protein synthesis, actual synthesis of the protein. There will be clinical trials. There will be, let's say, regulatory approvals. Then they need to, after regulatory approvals only, then they can test on human beings.
And sir, how do you differentiate between machine learning and generative AI?
See, like artificial intelligence in itself can be told in a manner that first of all the artificial intelligence comes, so there are different stages associated with it. So we'll talk about this. So one is known as artificial intelligence. In artificial intelligence generally, so let's say there are different stages, right? So I'll talk about, let's say this is a stage 1. In stage 1, what happens in artificial intelligence, we are giving certain inputs, right? And based on these inputs, what it is doing, it is generating n number of outputs, right? Different outputs. And for generating these outputs, generally in computers, we also talk about how they should generate outputs. In this case, they are doing some functions automatically. This is the first part of artificial intelligence. After then, the second stage, right, which is known as stage 2. This stage 2 is known as machine learning. Okay, it is known as machine learning. Okay, machine learning. So what this machine learning does, as of now, we have been giving input. Now, based on the inputs that it has already processed, right, in the second stage, it is itself going to learn the patterns and it is going to come up with answer to it. Means like this will be the second stage of it. And the third stage is known as machine intelligence, right? There will be machine intelligence, right? Third stage, or stage 3 can be called as machine intelligence, or we can call it to be machine consciousness. Human beings have consciousness, so it will be machine it can be called as machine intelligence, or we can talk about the mature phase to be machine consciousness. Okay, machine. As of now, we are working at the level of 1 and 2. These two are happening, right? This machine consciousness will come once we move to the general AI. General AI means, as of now, these are, let's say, like, at a lower level of thing. General AI means it will itself be able to have its consciousness. As of now, it is lacking the consciousness, but like this will be the next stage of it. Okay. So in artificial intelligence system also, like there are other, let's say, dimensions to it. जैसे you might have heard about AI, ML, deep learning, ठीक है? तो अभी जो है मतलब like we are into artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning. Deep learning जो है machine learning का जो भी negative aspects है, मतलब it does have some constraints. Those constraints are overcome by deep learning. Deep learning works at a next level to it, ठीक है? तो उसके बाद दिस ये जो मशीन कॉन्शियसनेस है, वी हैव नॉट येट अचीव्ड इट. लाइक पीपल आर प्लानिंग टू अचीव इट. इट मे टेक 10 years, it may take 100 years, but like once it is achieved, so it will be having the consciousness as human being. As of now, these machines do not have consciousness. ठीक है, मतलब ये चीजें हैं, मतलब slowly and gradually the more you read, you will be understanding these things. ठीक है, so this is the thing. Any other question?
So like generative AI, the prefix that we are using generative. So it's related to creation of something, right, sir?
Creation of something. It can be text, it can be content, it can be images, it can be videos, it can be, let's say, the computer codes. Generative AI, yeah.
How do you differentiate between machine learning and
AI? Artificial intelligence is a very broad term. Artificial intelligence is a very broad term. The artificial intelligence in itself encompasses all of these three stages. ठीक है? Initial stages we have understood. Machine learning में क्या होता है कि मतलब like we are यहाँ पे क्या है, we are giving input, it is doing processing, it is giving output. In machine learning, what happens, like we are giving input, it is processing those inputs, it is able to identify which output is right, which output is wrong. For example, let's say मान लो हमने ये दिया, ठीक है, it has different ways of giving output. जैसे like एक way, दूसरा way. अब दोनों आउटपुट अगर आता है, one of output it thinks कि it is not as good as the other output. जो अदर वाला आउटपुट है, इट इज गोइंग टू रीइंफोर्स इटसेल्फ. जो पॉजिटिव वाला है, इट इज गोइंग टू रीइंफोर्स इटसेल्फ. देन उससे क्या होगा, जो नेगेटिव वाले हैं, दे विल बी लेट्स से एक्सट्रैक्टेड फ्रॉम द सिस्टम. दिस पर्टिकुलर थिंग विल बी लेट्स से लाइक दे विल बी रीइंफोर्स. तो जो अलग अलग कॉम्बिनेशन से जो हम इनपुट देंगे, उसका जो पॉजिटिव वाला आउटपुट होगा, ठीक है, दे विल कीप ऑन रीइंफोर्सिंग, एंड दिस इज हाउ द मशीन इज लर्निंग इटसेल्फ. मान लेते हैं, फॉर एग्जाम्पल, आई गिव यू एन एग्जाम्पल. मुझे बुखार आया, व्हाट हैपेंड, आई हैव फीवर. नाउ फीवर में जनरली क्या होता है, मेरे बॉडी का टेम्परेचर गर्म हो गया, ठीक है. आई डोंट नो हाउ आई कैन गेट माई फीवर क्योर्ड. क्योंकि मेरे बॉडी का टेम्परेचर गर्म है, व्हाट आई विल डू, ठीक है, मैं ऐसा करता हूँ, ठंडे पानी में बैठ जाता हूँ थोड़ी देर के लिए. सो व्हाट आई एम डूइंग एन एक्सपेरिमेंट. उसके बाद मैं देख रहा हूँ कि मुझे बुखार और ज़्यादा तेज आ गया. You understanding? So this is a case of negative thing. मतलब it does have both the thing कि हाँ बुखार आ गया तो ऐसा. दूसरा मैंने ट्राई किया कि मैंने ठंडे में किया तो मुझे like it did not have positive like effect on me. Then I will कंबल ओढ़ के मैं लेट गया, पसीने आने लगे. Then actually में क्या हुआ, बुखार कम हुआ. You understanding? Then I understood कि हाँ this is the thing. So this is known as machine learning, when the machine does itself this thing. Human beings have experimented with them so much that like now we know the positive things more than negative things. Yes.
So like it's a continuous.
हाँ, it's a continuous process. It keeps on happening. Machine learning, मतलब computer science में तो like we talk about machine learning like this itself. ठीक है. Thank you so much. Thank you.